Hey. Hi. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to another Tuesday live stream. Hanging out, wearing giant earmuffs and connecting. It is nice to be back with you. And I can't believe it's Tuesday again already. It's amazing. Speaking of which, though, just before we start, because I'm terrible at publicity, you and I together are going to be like, hey, I am live now on YouTube, because, wait, oh my gosh, that's me. Come on over if you want to hang. Just doing some, Instagram story promotion, put on some sort of filter, and we're good to go, right? But nice to be back with you. If you're jumping on, feel free to fire some questions into the chat. There should be a little live chat thing. And I've really made Tuesdays about me being available to answer questions, chat with you. We can talk about looping, guitar. Really, this is your time. If there's something that you want to pick my brains on, then please just fire something in the chat and pick my brains. You're most welcome for whatever and whatever I can do genuinely. If there's something like that you've been wondering about one of the videos, or how I film or record, or releasing music and that sort of thing, then feel free to put it all in the chat and we will get to it. Also, just feel free to say hi and where you're from. That'd be cool. Nice. Rhythm playing. Cool. I like it. We will get to that, Mark. This is cool. Favorite picking pattern. Okay, nice. Maybe you've all chatted together and been like, let's talk about right hand finger patterns and picking, which is cool. Marcus, hey man. Nice. Marcus and Marcus. I like this. Marcus, you two are winning the best name of the night, just basically because there's two of you and you're outpowering anyone else at the moment. Perfect. Hey, everybody. James, Mark, Marcus. Maybe it's just names starting with M. Also, I'd love you to have a think. We're going to come back to this. I'd love you to have a think. The next, and Matt, it is the M's. You have conspired and plotted with rogue James sneaking in there, man. Oh, and Chrissy. Okay, nice. There's a few other letters. Perfect. But if you are on at the moment, we'll come back to it. Have a little think about something you'd like to achieve, whether it's musically, it could be a skill, it could be a performance goal, it could be just anything it is. You might want to go and do a tour, or record and release a song. I'm just throwing out completely arbitrary ideas. Have a think, and we'll get back to that a little bit later, if you're up for it. But looks like we're going to kick off with some right hand strumming. Thanks, Mark, and some picking patterns perhaps as well. Cool. I like it. I've got lots of energy tonight, and not only do I have lots of energy, I have lots of energy and a coffee, which probably just means more energy. Could be an exciting live stream. Who knows? But right, Mike, let's rhythm playing with your right hand. Is there anything in particular you want to ask about it? Curious. Hi, everyone. Hey, Eric. Hey, man. How's it going? Erickson. Nice. Percussive rhythm playing. Okay, now I'm really curious. Are we doing the like? It's a long time since I've played that. Anyone else Rodrigo and Gabriella fans? For a while, I had her nice little triplet. But that took a lot of practice, and and I'm not very good at it at the moment. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the slap then when we're playing, because nice. Hey, Stephen Chomley. Hi, how's it going? Let's talk about the slap, and let's just do does everyone know that strumming pattern? Classic down, down, up, up, down, up. Just breaking it down super slowly. And there's this beautiful thing. We can add a bunch of I guess percussion and slaps and things into there, and it can kind of get quite interesting. Essentially, we're putting a little beat on the third beat of the bar, and it helps us get a little rhythm thing going, especially when we're looping. I use it quite a lot. Just so that might be my first loop, for example. Josh, welcome to the chat. If you've just jumped on board, I'd love you to have a think about something that you would like to achieve. Might be in a month, you know, you don't necessarily have to have a time frame for it, but just could be a guitar skill, could be recording, performing, videoing, something like that. Just have a think what's showing up for you that you're like, that'd be cool. If I could do that, that'd be epic. And in the meantime, we're doing some right hand rhythm stuff and talking a little bit about percussion as well. And just going back to that, I think, and we'll come back to that, down, down, up, down, up, strum. Whew, definitely got some energy going tonight, which is cool. So before we kind of loop back around to that, I tend to use this slap quite a bit as essentially the third beat in the bar. Nice. Yeah, I'm in E flat. For those of you that are playing along, C, A minor. And so however you do it, you can still strum. You can hit the neck of the guitar, which is quite common. Okay, there's a lot of different options. You can probably tell by me playing that I don't use the neck particularly much, but it is another good sound, another good option and tone to get into. Nice, thanks, Paul. We'll get into that too. Actually, that's a good follow on from doing this. So with your right hand, I honestly, if I look back at how I learnt, a lot of it was learning very strict patterns to start with, and I think this is a good one. If you just on a actually. Or I'm torn now, Marcus. You've just tuned to E flat, but on a G chord, if you're tuned to E flat, which makes it an F sharp chord, just for fun. Test out some options with percussion, perhaps on this down, down, up, down, up. So essentially, our rhythm is like 1, 2, and 3. And we're not strumming the 3 and 4 and if you want to mathematically, count it out if you haven't done this before. So 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and then have a think about where you want percussion to go. And given we're not playing that 3 is a great time I'm using a pick at the moment. You can still get a slap or a percussive strum on the way down. So you'd get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then suddenly we've got a bit of that little groove. I think of it kind of like a snare hit, and it means that if you want to later, if you're looping something, you can double up on that slap or that hit, and maybe add in some sort of bass or like kick pattern, if you like, as well. So I'm not sure if this is kind of where you were heading, Mark. If you want to go right back to basics, one of the most useful things, and this is really going to basics, but it's also actually a really good way of checking how accurate your picking is. And it's basically for the first, if we use the same pattern, we're going to pick the bass string for that first note. So it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and let's just do the same chord progression as I was doing before. E minor, C, D. So we'd get 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and you'd pick the 6th string for E minor. Better make sure my guitar stays in the picture. For C, you're going to pick the 5th string. D, the 4th string. Now, getting this clean and accurate, I know for some of you, you've done this, you've been playing for ages. Awesome, that's cool. Again, I'm basically going to work through, to the best of my ability, what you guys put in the chat, and talk about it from things that I've learned and used that I've found useful, kind of getting through maybe some of those little hurdles. But again, that's a super useful exercise and will sharpen up your picking because you have to come back to this specific note. Okay. The other one that, for those of you that want to sharpen up your picking, and this will help with your strumming, it'll also help with individual picking, but is to take a C chord and basically we're going to play a scale. So your hand can stay in the same spot. Hey, Julian, thanks for being on. Nice. Florian, how's it going, man? Kevin as well. Nice. I will get to some of your questions. So just bear with me briefly, going through a few little picking things, and I will get to, I see them sneak up and I want to answer them all now. So basically we're doing a C major scale. Apologies for those of you that are tuned to E, but you can take this away and practice the concept. And after every note, we come back to playing this C, which is our 3rd finger on the root note. So we get and back down. So it's working your right hand a little string stripping, string skipping exercise, and I think, Mark, combined with picking out that bass note, the root note of the chords, just do it as a practice thing. And if it's hard for you, great, spend some time working. If you pick it up easily, then great, you can move on and experiment with something new. So yeah, I hope that's of value and of use to you all. Some little thoughts. So basically with that, it should become pretty automatic and hopefully comfortable maybe even fun. Who knows? Again, you can try it with different chords where you're gonna say, if we did F, we'd have to come back to that note on the first string. So that you're just starting from maybe the sixth string to practice that skipping. So yeah, some fun to play around with. Hi everybody, if you've just joined, also I'm just firing it out there. Have a think of something that you want to achieve musically. I don't know, in the next month to, it could be this week, could be in a month, could be in 3 months, might be recording, might be touring, might be putting out an album, might be getting on Spotify, might be making a video, might just be learning a very cool lick that you've been wanting to learn. Just have a think, and I'm going to catch up on some questions and say hi to you all. Thanks. I appreciate you being here, hanging out. It's nice. Cool. Right. Skipping back a bit. Favorite picking patterns. Marcus, let's do that. But I'm going to answer briefly. Kevin, single loop pedals. Sorry, this is, I just jump and skip to whatever seems like it feels like it wants answering, which is just a mystery. But single loop pedals, there's heaps of options. I kind of do end up going towards the likes of the Boss RC3. And one of the reasons for that is it's just super reliable in general, the Boss stuff. I don't think there's a right and wrong answer. They all have subtle differences, and yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, there's different prices, there's different options that are in each of them, from the ability to be battery powered or not, to their size, to, you know, all sorts of different things of whether they have little drum beats built in or not, a bunch of those things. So for a lot of these things, I'm pretty bad at recommending specific things. I have things that I like, and you guys will probably know if you've been watching me in this channel, I love the Voice Live 3. I also have issues and frustrations with the Voice Live 3, but I still use it. So, hey Vox, thanks for joining. It's nice to see you all here. Right, picking patterns. Let's go with a C chord. Talking about some right hand stuff. Using some fingers and some fingers. I'm definitely in an odd mood tonight, but you know, I'm good with that. So I think one of the most useful patterns is the classic kind of folk style picking. Because it gives you like a framework to expand out from. And then if you want to get into like this folk style, Chet Atkins, Mel Travis, Tommy Emmanuel, thumb picking, where you're playing, oh, this would be wild. I don't know if you want to get into that sort of stuff, but oh, there you go. Aussie's giving you the best loop pedal in the comments, Kevin. If you wanna go scrolling through, I love it. Thanks, Aussie. Appreciate it, man. Cool. So the picking pattern is your thumb on the fifth string, your thumb and then first finger on the fourth and third string. So we get 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And just for timing, this is a whole first beat. Oh, cheers, Kevin. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what you come up with. And honestly, guys and girls, please share what you're doing with me. Drop me a note on Instagram or Facebook. Everything is basically Facebook / David Shannon or Instagram / David Shannon. So I'm easy to find. I love seeing, I don't get to everything straight away, but I do love seeing what you're up to and really appreciate when you've, seeing some cool stuff that you've figured out or been experimenting with. So please feel free to do that. Back to this picking pattern. Okay, so rhythmically, we've got one like crotchet, quaver, 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 quaver. Again, we're getting into all the musical stuff for those of you that are into it tonight. But in terms of your finger picking patterns, we've got thumb and then thumb and first finger. And I think the fingers you use are important for this if you want to go down the path of some thumb independence later on. Then your thumb back on the 5th string and your middle finger on the 2nd string. And then once again, your thumb and first finger on the 4th and 3rd strings. It's a really great finger picking pattern. And the only thing you change is if the root note, like, so for example, C or A, if the root note is on the 5th string, then great. If, let's say, A minor, just for the key we're in sync, still our A is on the 5th string. If we went from there to an F, our thumb would start on the 6th string. And we could make that 3rd one on the 5th string. So G, same idea. And for a D chord, your thumb would start on that 1st or the 4th string, and you'd move everything up a string, essentially. Actually down. Depends if we're talking musically or visually, but so if you're getting started with finger picking, that's what I would recommend. And then it starts to open up a lot of different options. But then each song or tune that you'll learn will have something different going on, and it'll just start opening up every time you learn something new options and that sort of thing. So, hey everybody, welcome. If you've just jumped on, if you're here from before, nice to see you. I can't see you, but if you type a message in the chat, then I'll know you're here. Cool. I feel like I missed things previously. Right. Paul, the rhythm for Dancing in the Dark. I'm pretty sure. I'm doing a really simple. It's kind of almost like just doing a strum, a really straightforward strum, and aiming it to be percussive, which if you like, if we think of it as 4 different things, we're having a hit with my thumb along the strings near to the bridge for a bassy like kick sound. I strum up slightly with a finger, then it's kind of like a down strum as a slap, and then a little up strum again. So if I slow it down, yes, super simple, and it's super effective for a lot of things. And these little, I use the pad of my finger because I want the dynamics to be slightly different, I guess. So we're getting the bass, a slight up strum, a slap that's again louder and more percussive, and then a slight up strum again. So that's all the loop is underneath. dancing in the dark. Reasonable gigging mic, Chrissy, nice to see you here. Reasonable gigging microphone recommendation and guitar string I like best. I actually probably should check, but I'm pretty sure it's the Sennheiser E845 mic. I'm 99.7% sure that is my mic. The standards, kind of industry standards, still probably sits with an SM58 or the SM58 Beta. They're basically the same mic and just have a different rejection pattern. For those of you that have foldback, the SM58 has like rejection straight coming, if you have a foldback monitor coming straight back at you, and the SM58A, Beta A's from the side, like 45-degree angle. It's some useless information probably for you tonight, but I keep looking up here to this mic, but it's not what I use. This is a little condenser mic that I use for recording. But I do like the SM58s. I just found that the Sennheiser mic it's not as harsh, in my humble opinion, and I just liked it. But in saying that, it again depends on what sound you like and what system you're going through, and there's different times that I would just go for the SM58. And then guitar strings, I have some new strings on today. So nice. It's been so long. I cannot recall in numbers of years, probably years and years and years, the last time it was 7 or 8 weeks, which however long our lockdown was, between changing strings. So they finally turned up and I changed them today. So favorite songs for performances that are currently the most liked ones at audience. It's a complete mystery, to be honest, because I haven't been doing any gigs. I really haven't. So that's a mystery. I go through phases of having different favorite songs and things like that. But one of the things I find is that a lot of my energy will shift what is a favorite or a go-to song is with an audience as well. There's definitely some classics that if you just play them, it's great. But I feel like there's also how much you're involved, if that makes sense. So if you're really into a song that you've learned, you've done a cool arrangement, it still can be that, you're doing a cover show and no one knows it and it just doesn't really work out. But equally, there's an enthusiasm and energy, I think, that we bring as performers. And part of, I think, doing it professionally is that you can still bring that energy and fun to a song that you've played however many times. And I think that's something I've noticed as well, that I've gone to see acts that are excellent, but they've just, for whatever reason on that given night, and I'm guilty of this also, not really been there, not really been in it, and it's become a little bit the motions. And I don't know what's going on for people at any given day or time. So so that's cool. Cheers, Florian. I just read your comment now, so that's cool. Chris, new strings for me as well, buddy. Today is the day. Any tips or hints for restringing? Cool. Oh, nice. Thanks, man. Honestly, for restringing, one of the things I do is after restringing, no secret tips or crazy anything. I basically grab the strings like this, all the way, and pull them off the nut, but all the way down, and I stretch them, and you'll probably notice it's gone a little bit flat. So it just means that on the on the day, just before a show, I can change my strings. I can stretch them out and really just kind of like, it's almost like playing them in, but just cheating by stretching out and kind of doing it that way. I like it. That's got to be the best response, Ozzy. While your strings are off, the best thing to practice is your air guitar moves. Julian, so cool. Just briefly, if you are on and hanging out and sticking around, then have a think about something that you. Hey Thomas, how's it going? Have a think about something that you would like to create, do something that you're working on, in terms of music and skills, and we will come to that at the end. Julian, practicing more efficiently, train plan. Nice, cool. Actually, this is a great question. I love this. How do I train playing and singing at the same time? We're going to go through this briefly because I love this question, and it's something that comes up quite often, and it's something that's important, I think, for all of us performing. The thing I would add is, how do I train singing and playing and performing at the same time, which sometimes gets forgotten about entertaining. And I think of it like this. You guys can, and girls can all do this experiment, if you like, but walking is one of the easiest things for us in general. We've all done it, mostly, since we were very small. And try this if you're out, go for a walk with a friend somewhere sometime and ask them a really difficult question, something that really requires thought. Typically, if they really have to think about it, they will stop walking to answer your question. And so I think I relate that to guitar playing and singing. And I think if I stop walking to answer a really tough question, then how on earth do I still play guitar and sing and entertain all at once? And I look at it that it has to be automatic. It has to kind of go into my subconscious from practice and repetition. And there's different schools of thought on this in terms of practicing everything slow and never pushing yourself or making a mistake or anything like that, which I think is awesome. There's something I like to do, which is just separating out the parts. So specifically learning to sing the vocal part and forget about the guitar and actually spend some time singing. And I think we talked about it a while back with soloing, but I often learn the melody on the guitar, the vocal melody. And again, I'm just trying to put more information into my brain to have it be kind of subconscious rather than consciously thinking about it. And then I find, especially if there's something I'm struggling with, it's just this clash of bringing them together, because that needs to happen as well. So practice the guitar, practice the vocal, and then there's this clash sometimes where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not sure how these go together. And by staying with it, you'll start to find that even if it looks like you're making no progress sometimes, and I'm sure we've all had this experience, but yeah, it's like something clicks finally, and you move on and can kind of work with what's for a long time seemed difficult or impossible. And then I think the same thing in terms of performing. If 100% of your concentration is going into what is my pick doing, what are my hands doing in chord changes, oh my gosh, I've got to start my loop right now, and oh, I need to sing into the microphone, then it's very hard to also be engaged with your audience and maybe if a little moment happens or someone happens to yell something or spills a drink or who knows, you can maybe add that in and like comment or engage with them and have a laugh. So yeah, I just think it's one of those things that the more automatic it is, the more we can engage and be present, and then comes back a little bit to what I was saying before is still being in the present moment rather than like on robot autopilot, just from doing it a bunch of times. So yeah. Oh, Chomley, that is also one of my favorite things. For those of you that don't know, a little graphite pencil is great for having the strings slide much more smoothly over your nut. And I do the same at each end. So basically, yeah, the graphite in the pencil just has things move nicely and stops your strings. Sometimes if you've ever tuned and you have that moment where you tune just a little bit more and it's like suddenly you've gone tuned much too far. It's not necessarily going to be perfect, but it is a nice bonus. Dun, dun, dun. Cool. Awesome. Paul, Northern California. Thanks, man. Nice. Does that mean it's getting nice and warm and sunny for you right now? Because it's just starting to get cold here. And yes, Julian, totally normal. When we're recording, more mistakes tend to happen, and with just our awareness really hones in. And this is something I'm totally aware of and working on at the moment, is actually recording with the feel of a song as opposed to precision as such. So kind of like trusting that I've practiced and my fingers and voice know what they're doing, and getting into what actually do I want to express with this song. Is it a sad song? Is it a happy song? Should it be funny? Which actually I find then I make less mistakes because I'm not thinking about trying to get it perfect. I have done the practice, hopefully, and let it come out. Da-na-na. Nice. There's yeah, bunch of awesome comments in there on some gear and stuff like that. Cool. Nice. Just kind of scrolling through and catching up. Greetings from England. How can I stop hating my recorded voice? Skitters. Hey man. And Chris, cool. Sorry, I'm gonna come back to this. I'm just reading your messages briefly. Cool. Oh, here without you. Nice. Nice. Spring. Cool. Yeah. Nice. For all of you in the UK, enjoy the warmer weather. I hope you've survived not too bad a winter. Cool. The recording, the vocal thing, there's two things that come up for me. I remember really clearly hearing my first recordings and like, it doesn't sound like me. It's not what I'm used to, because I'm used to hearing the resonance from my own head coming out. And so there's two things. There's one, just record yourself, whether it's a voice memo, and play it back. And you don't have to be comfortable with it. You don't have to like it, but the process of doing it over time, you do just get more used to it. And then secondly, probably the best thing I can suggest you do is when you're in the car, or when you're I feel like this is where we judge ourselves a lot. I do as well, is get used to actually moving and having the movement feel good while you sing. So forget about what you sound like, and honestly, it's just, you can kind of forget about singing as well, but spend some time making some noise. And it might just be like, and I know this is like a bunch of you like, oh my gosh, I've tuned into this weirdo that's making funny noises and moving his head around. But focus on how it feels rather than what the sound is, and just let whatever sound kind of comes out. And the process of it will help you relax a lot more when you're singing, basically. And it will help give you some freedom with your actual tone of your voice down the track. So experiment with it or don't. Up to you. If you're like me, it will feel very odd. And yeah, I spent a bunch of time doing it in the car. And then after a while, I realized that every now and then, stopped at traffic lights, there were people looking at me with probably odd glances. So yeah, definitely an interesting one. And I think with a lot of us, I know for myself, have been really judgmental about my own voice. So yeah, that's something I would suggest, man. It probably will feel awkward. Cool, right. I was gonna answer some other question somewhere, I'm sure. Oh, the acoustic versus the electric. Kevin, cool. And Marcus, honestly, a part of it is I like the fact that this is just wherever you are, this kind of works. And I do love jumping on the electric and playing around with tone and different things. And I play differently on the electric. I think we all do. But part of what I like with the acoustic guitar is that there's all these little things that we can dig out. You know, if I play this just really nicely, I'm struggling to do it like I planned, because I still want to do these like little slaps and percussion. And so I feel like there's a beautiful thing with the acoustic guitar that that somehow the resonance and the life I can get out of it. I feel a bit stuck in terms of dynamics and things like that sometimes on an electric guitar, which totally can still happen. And there's totally a whole new world of option with tones and that sort of thing. But I just basically go back to, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm very much singer-songwriter. That's what I gravitate towards. And so long as I have this, I can put things together and have some sound. So I don't know if that's a great answer or not. You know, with it, it's just one of those things that I just that's my favorite at the end of the day, and so I spend more time on this than I do on the electric. Nice. Florian, I love that story. That's awesome, man. Nice. So just kind of wrapping this all up for tonight. Thanks for jumping on. I mentioned earlier, if there's something that you have in mind that you want to accomplish, Chrissy, you've got yours in there, which is awesome. Getting through mastering the RC30, which is awesome. Nice. Cool. Peter, cheers, man. Peter, I caught briefly some of your live stream too. It was nice. I don't think I commented. I disappeared, but it was nice to hear you, and I enjoyed it. If you have a goal, I'd love it if you want to message me over the next 24 hours. Let's say if you're on this live stream now, find me a message with what it is. And what I'd like to do is just work with you. It's just going to be basically from probably the easiest thing is jump onto my Facebook page, and we'll message and we'll chat back and forth. Facebook.com/David Shannon. Send me a message there. And yeah, we're just gonna kind of like, if you want to, again, if you absolutely don't want to and have no musical goals, or you are sick of me from this live stream and like chatting and connecting more would be a really terrible thing in your life, then please do not message me. But otherwise, please do. And honestly, it takes being a little bit vulnerable to just share, hey, this is what I'd like to do over the next month, over the next few weeks, down the track. And I'm going to kind of work with a few of you, obviously, if you message me, just on a couple of things that I've found really useful in terms of mapping out actually a plan and creating that happening down the track. So yeah, if you're up for it, and hopefully you've been thinking of it during this live stream, then fire me a message and I will get back to you. And please note, I do read all your messages. Sometimes it will take me a while to respond. Just be aware, I probably have seen it or we'll get to it. It just may not be instantaneous. And then, yeah. Yeah, thanks again for hanging out. I appreciate you all. We're going to get back into a bunch of looping stuff on the channel, which is cool. I'm really aware that during this lockdown, I took a bunch of time chilling and just kind of playing some fingerstyle stuff and really not doing a lot of looping. Just didn't. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you all. And I will see some of you on via message, and some of you perhaps next week or on the channel or somewhere across the globe when we're allowed to travel. Cheers and have a good night, everybody. See you later.